In a little segment from our midday newscast. It's a KOLO book club every month. We talk about interesting reads to check out at our local libraries. We have Jeff Scott here joining us to talk about 3 books, and this is all based off, March was International Women's Month, and celebrating all things about what makes women so great. And one that you want to highlight right now is actually kind of highlighting women in a field that women don't typically get the notoriety for.
Right. So Regan Penaluma is a journalist, and she has a PhD in philosophy. And the book genesis was from an experience she had in class, where she was one of only 2 women in the philosophy class. And the professor was saying how women don't have the intellectual rigor to study philosophy or be in leadership roles, and then went to Plato and referenced all those ancient philosophers. And she thought, well, it made her feel bad, and she kind of internalized that. She thought, wait a minute, I'm a philosophy major, there must be women philosophers. And she found a whole host of them that inspired her to kind of bring back her mojo to kind of come back and finish the degree.
Well, I think there's one thing to say, women philosophers don't necessarily have the kind of, I guess, notoriety that the male ones do, but to say that they don't have the mental capacity.
Right. And so that's always a problem when you look at the classics, and it's like, that was thousands of years ago. They thought men were, featherless birds at the time. So it's not like that's the most sophisticated argument altogether. So she found 4 women that were of the time period. And this is really the time period where a lot of political philosophy like John Locke was very popular. And they would serve as the bedrock of American democracy. And so she finds these authors and talking about how women, have intelligent souls. They deserve to be able to develop them, and if men are born free, why are women born slaves? And the culmination of that is Mary Wollstonecraft, The Rights of Women, that was written during the French Revolution. And so that was one of the bedrocks of women's rights, both internationally and in the United States. And so Mary Wollstonecraft is known for giving birth to her daughter, Mary Wollstonecraft, who would become Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein. So all these women becoming the bedrock of our modern thought and also science fiction.
Yeah, Mary Shelley, of course, the mother of science fiction and horror. So if you want to check out How to Think Like a Woman, that is one option. And speaking of horror, you've got another option for us here.
So it's always exciting when you have a new author coming out with a new book. So Mariana Enriquez writes short stories, a lot of their horror stories. So they're short stories, they're short books. So you find out that she has a new book out, it's exciting. And then it's a novel, it's even more exciting. And it's 600 pages long, and it's like, yes, delicious. So it's really exciting. So this is basically a father and son on a journey. And so they're going to spread their mother's ashes. And they realize that they're part of a sinister plot to try to kidnap the son for evil purposes. And so he must find ways to protect the son and, keep him safe from these forces. And so Mariana Enriquez is very similar to what you find with Roberto Bolaño. And so she grew up in Argentina during the Dirty War, and you have a lot of dictator and oppression. And Roberto Bolaño also was Chilean, also dealing with dictatorships. And so the horror becomes sort of a metaphor for dictatorships. People disappear, people end up getting killed, and when does that stop? And so it is sort of a metaphor for evil forces when people do that. And so it's a really good story, very riveting, very scary, but it's really good for that kind of thing.
Who stands up to those evil forces?
Right, who stands up to the evil forces? Exactly, yes.
And I was grilling you on this book a little bit beforehand, and you said you absolutely love it.
Yes.
So I recommend probably snatching that up before it's
available at your library.
Before it's on a wait list. Now, finally, this woman's work, this is all about some music.
Right. So women in music, and then fans of women of music. And so you have authors talking about the importance of music in their lives. And so you have some women writing about how it was really important to find their favorite artist and meet them in person. And then you have this imagination of whether when you meet them, you're going to say how much their art meant to them and articulate it so beautifully. But instead it comes out like blah, 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 blah to the artist. And so having those kinds of experiences, and also what it means to them. One is talking about her father and the importance of music to him, and how, talking about dictatorships again, how dictators hate beauty and they hate music because they can't control it. It stirs the soul, it inspires people. And so that's kind of the movements of that kind of help people become free and move forward in their lives. And so all this about authors. So Kim Gordon of Sonic Youth is one of the authors and also the editor for this collection. So it's a fun collection, very inspirational. And if you want to learn more about women in music, it's a great essay collection.
Awesome. So How to Think Like a Woman, 4 women philosophers who taught me how to love The Life of the Mind, Our Share of the Night, and This Woman's Work, all recommended by the Washoe County Library system this month for International Women's Month. And you can catch Jeff and I talking about books and great reads every single month on our midday show. So it's going to be fun. You know, we got April coming up. So
some poetry in April. So bring that.
Poetry. All right.
April is Poetry Month.
Well, stay tuned. All right, Jeff, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back.